Hi, my name is Melissa Sumner. Today I'm going to focus on the topic of the relation between state and the arts being transformed from a discourse on taste and morality to one of economic rationalism and political collusion. This concept was mentioned in the introduction of The State and the Arts Articulating Power and Subversion by Judith Kepferver. In this introduction, Kepferver walks her readers through the relationship history between the government and the arts in the United States. In the 18th and 19th centuries, only the elite had influence over the arts nationwide. The elite became the largest funder of works for art nationwide and worldwide. They even chose how much support a nation's leader would have versus funding works that questioned politics at the time. Toward the end of the 19th century, there was enough support to expand construction of national institutions such as museums and galleries, as well as foster international trade of artworks. In Kepferver's article, she provides a comparison to the history of the state and art in Singapore. Singapore was occupied by Japan in World War II. In 1963, they gained their independence by forming Malaysia, but then separated from Malaysia 2 years later due to ideological differences. Because of this, Singapore has a diverse cultural history with no distinct identity. Singapore desperately needed an identity and wanted to make that identity universal. They created a funding stream for cultural organizations that had a worldwide scope to emphasize tourism. Their works included Broadway production tours, and many performances that did not identify with the Singapore culture. Meanwhile, cultural institutions that were staying true to Japanese, Malayan, and Singapore culture weren't receiving any government funding and were struggling to keep what little culture the nation had alive and thriving. Just like Singapore in the late 20th century, United States artists in the 19th century could not compete with projects the bourgeoisie were funding. The 20th century made way for a new class in the U.S. made up of technocrats, entrepreneurs, musicians, actors, athletes, culinary artists, fashion designers, and architects and home designers. Breaking away from the elite helped the nation discover richer creative possibilities. This new class created new cultural hubs, new jobs in the art market, and more access for the public to participate in art. Throughout time, artists reigned the art world rather than the elite. Art became a thing for everyone. Art advocates fought for access and education, even more in the creation of government entities like the National Endowment for the Arts, the NEA. The United States still had influencers from the elite like Rockefeller, Kennedy, and Carnegie families, but the work was artist-centered and not class-centered. Singapore is still struggling to cultivate their own cultural identity. After 50 years of independence, they rely on an international mindset to promote tourism while their regional theaters receive little to no funding. Hopefully, the nation of Singapore will recognize the value of supporting work that identifies with the local community. The United States has established funding of cultural institutions, big and small, across the nation. With the help of arts advocates today, hopefully we can make this nation's artists and creators prospering for centuries to come. Thank you so much for watching.